Hi guys, this is Heidi with Kiddos Corral, and today I'm going to show you guys how I make my homemade dinner rolls. And I'm just going to quickly go over the ingredients, but in the description box down below I'll actually post the actual recipe. I'm going to be doubling this, so it should make not doubled, it should make about a dozen dinner rolls. So if you're going to need more than that, I would suggest doubling it. So I'm doubling it because I'm having a lot of company. So the first thing you're going to need is some milk. You're going to need some butter. You can use unsalted, but I just use this. The actual recipe that I do use says unsalted butter, but honestly I have never noticed a difference. So it's your preference on that. I used active dry yeast. I have some salt. I have some all-purpose flour. I have 6 egg yolks. And the last thing you are going to need is some sugar. So I'm going to get this stuff laid out and measured, and I'm going to show you how to mix up the dough. Okay, the first thing you are going to want to do is heat your milk and your butter on the stove. Now I already have my milk and my butter in this pot here, and I'm just simply going to turn it on low heat. You do not want to turn this up too high. You just want to heat the milk so that the butter will melt. If for some reason, this heats up really fast, just turn it off, let it cool down to where it needs to be. It needs to feel like, I'm just going to say, like, warm enough that it would be a baby bottle. That is the way that I describe it. You don't want this too hot, because if you get your milk and your butter too warm, it will kill the yeast and it actually won't activate at all. So what I'm going to do right now is just bring this up to where the butter melts, and then I will be back to show you the following steps. And combine all of my dry ingredients in here. I got my milk and my butter mixture here in my mixing bowl. However, I think I got it just a little bit too hot, so I'm just letting that cool down before I add the yeast. So the first thing that I'm going to need is some flour, and I'm going to need 4 cups of flour, but I'm doubling it, so I'm going to need 8, so that'll be 16 because I'm using a half cup measuring cup. Okay, now I'm going to put up the flour, and I'll come right back and I will finish mixing what I need. Okay, I got my flour cleaned up, and what I like to do is I like to run a whisk through my dry ingredients. It kind of acts like a sifter, and it kind of combines everything that's dry. So I'm going to go ahead and add my salt to this. I'm just going to put it up. And then I'm going to need 2/3 cup of sugar. So I just add that to my flour. And I just combine all of that together. Just like that. Boy, that looks like a lot of flour, doesn't it? Now you want to have your dough hook, your dough attachment, which I have right here, for your KitchenAid. I get asked all the time, I don't know why, but what hooks I use, so I'm making sure that I cover all my bases with explaining this to you. So I have my milk and my butter mixture. Let me pull my, there we go, my video camera up for you. And I am going to go ahead and add my yeast to this. Now remember, I'm doubling this, so when I put in the description box, it'll actually just be the recipe for, you know, not doubled, obviously. So you want to use, I'm using 2 packages of yeast, and I want to go ahead and let that yeast activate. I just take my dough hook and just kind of move it around just a little bit in that milk mixture, that milk and butter, and I'm just going to let that sit. And I set the timer for 5 minutes and let that activate. And when the 5 minutes is up, I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, now that my yeast is good and activated, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my dry ingredients. A little bit more there. And then I want to go ahead and add my egg yolks right to the top. Let me get a spoon to make sure I get all of it out. You want to make sure that you add your egg yolks, because the egg yolks allow your bread to be very, very rich, and it really adds to the flavor and the consistency of the bread. I'm going to start this on low, and I'm going to let this mix together, and I'll come back and show you what I do next. Okay, I got my bread dough all mixed, and it makes a very tacky like dough. So what you want to do is you want to put out some all-purpose flour out on your counter, and you want to take this dough out. As you can see, it's very tacky. And what you want to do is you want to knead this by hand and add a little bit more flour until it pulls together as a nice dough. Now you don't want to add too much flour because you don't want these to be stiff. You know, you don't want to make it stiff, but you do want to make this bread or these rolls so that, you know, they're nice and fluffy, because that's what you like, is a good fluffy roll. So I'm just going to pull this out of here. There we go. Make sure you guys can see this. I need to pull this over a little bit. There we go. Alright, so what I do is I get my hands good and floured before I go touching this, because it is tacky. But, you know, don't be intimidated by it because it is tacky. You just have to take your time and work with it a little bit, and it will all come together. What I do is I just keep folding it a little bit, just like this, and just make sure I get all the dough, because we don't want to waste any of it. And I just keep kneading it till I get a nice, good dough all together. I'll push my sleeves up here. That looks good. And you don't want to add too much flour. I'm done adding flour to this. So what I do is I just pat off the excess of the flour. You know, just make sure that I don't have any excess on the top. I have a Grease large bowl right here with olive oil in it. And I have a pastry brush. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this bread together, and I'm going to place it, make sure you dust it off, place it in the bottom of this bowl, just like this. And then I'm going to just make sure that it's good and brushed with the olive oil. And I am going to cover it with some plastic wrap, and I'm just going to put this somewhere warm, and I'm just going to let this rise until it is about doubled in size and beautiful. And I will come back a little later in a few hours, well, at least a couple hours, and show you what this looks like and what the next step to making delicious dinner rolls is. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back, and what you're looking at is my counter with a little bit of flour there. I'm going to grab my ginormous bowl of dough. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like now. Can you guys see that? How humongous it grew. That's what you want. And keep in mind too that I doubled the recipe because I have so many mouths to feed. I have 2 9x13 pans greased and set aside so that when I roll these things into a ball, I just want to get my surface good and floured here. I love the way that bread dough smells. It smells so yummy. Now I'm making these bread rolls a day in advance. Ooh, look at that. That, my friends, is perfection. I absolutely love bread dough. It just smells wonderful. So basically all I do is I put it out on a floured surface because I want to make sure, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit. I just want to make sure that it doesn't stick to my, you know, to the surface, because I want to be able to cut these out. Now these should cut, if you hear my kids playing, that they are playing a game together and they have been loud all day. So I should be able to get about 24 rolls out of this dough. So I'm going to quickly show you how I cut it out. So basically I would love to have a dough scraper. If I had a dough scraper, I would just cut it in 24 with a dough scraper. I just use a big knife because that's all I have. So I cut the dough in half because I know that I want this to equal 12 and this to equal 12, or at least close to it. So I just start cutting the dough. And what I want to do is I just want to make sure that my hands are good and floured because I don't want this dough to stick to me. So I just take it and I tuck the sides downwards, and I kind of make like a mini mushroom with my hands, like a mini mushroom. You know, you want these to be pretty. And I just turn a little bit and push up, and it makes a puff. Just like that. And then that's what I'm going to place on my greased pan. Now I want to get about the same amount of dough. Remember, if you don't get enough dough, cut yourself some more. It's not rocket science, honest. If I can make dinner rolls, anybody can make dinner rolls. Okay, so once again, I'm pushing all the ends downward. I'm turning slightly to make a mushroom, and I'm pushing up to make a puff. There's number 2. Very pretty. You also want to make sure you don't get too much flour on these, because if you do, I don't think I have enough dough. I like to make mine a good size. I'm recording, guys. I like to make mine a good size because that way everybody gets a big dinner roll. Now, there might be some things that my children don't like. This isn't one of them. The dinner rolls go quickly and deliciously. All right. I think you guys get pretty much the idea or the effect. You just want to turn it, push it up, and it makes a puff. And then when these rise up, because they got to rise again in the pan, they will rise so pretty. They will be absolutely gorgeous, 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 gorgeous dinner rolls. So I'm going to get these all in the pan. There's another puff. And I'll show you what they look like when I get them all rolled out. And we'll take it from there. Okay, I got my rolls all rolled out, obviously. And I have them in 2 pans. I didn't quite get 24 because I did make them a little bit bigger than I usually do. And keep in mind, you don't need to make these humongous because of the fact that they are going to rise. So I just put a quick piece of plastic wrap. If you have a no-lint towel, you can actually put that on top and not even save, and you can save your plastic wrap. But I just do plastic wrap. It's just as easy as anything, and then I don't have to wash any towels. I can just throw this away. So I just want these to double in size, and once they do, I'll come back and show you what they look like. And we will pop these babies in the oven and get these brushed with some butter, and oh my goodness, it's going to be hard to stay out of them. Okay, I am back and my rolls are absolutely beautiful and ready to go into the oven. So I have the oven set on 350 degrees and I'm going to bake these for 20 to 25 minutes. Okay guys, my rolls just came out of the oven. They are piping hot, and I've taken 3 tablespoons of butter and I have melted it so that I can brush the tops of these buns. Okay, this is too yummy. I hope nobody else likes these so that I can eat them all. This looks scrumptious. I think I'm gonna have one happy family come dinner. All right, you guys are seeing this is the first pan, and over here, I know you guys can't see it on video, but I'm brushing the other pan. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can let these cool completely and put them in an airtight container. If you want to bake them a day before, you can. It totally works. You can pop them in the oven just for a couple minutes to heat them up, or you can even put them in the microwave to reheat them, which is probably what I'm going to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed to Kiddos Corral, subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up on this video, and I'll be talking to you guys again soon. I hope you have a great time fixing your dinner rolls. Bye-bye.